Gamers and gamettes, what is going on? My name is Tanek127 and welcome back to another Skyforge PlayStation 4 video. And in today's video I'm going to be giving you guys my review, thoughts, and first impressions on patch 1.09 for Skyforge for the PlayStation 4. What I think about it, because you guys know I've been a heavy Skyforge PS4 critic lately, so I figured I would offer my first impressions and tell you guys what I think about the patch in this video. Now, honestly, with this patch, I'm going to say overall, job well done, Skyforge PS4. You guys are making steps in the right direction. Alad's team and my.com, I have to give props where they are due. You guys are trying. However, to my opinion, there are a lot of lazy things done in this patch. Like, prime example, and you guys will see my upload about this shortly, but the new quote-unquote text chat feature, the pre-made messages, just in my opinion, just no. We need real text chat. We need an actual LFG system. Stop, taking cheap workarounds and stuff like that. I understand, console and keyboard isn't, the most convenient thing, but trust me, the Elder Scrolls Online, use them as an example. They added text chat into their game eventually for a reason. MMOs need text chat, so I'm going to emphasize on this heavily again. Please, my.com and Alad's team, I am personally begging you, your community, the whole Skyforge PS4 fan base is begging you, please bring text chat to this game. Stop stalling, stop with the BS. Please bring it to this game. No more, cheap things. I don't want to see another patch from now where, more words just get added to this pre-made text chat. I want to see a little text chat box in the bottom left or right hand corner of my screen, or faded out somewhere, or whatever, however it's supposed to work. But there are some other features that came in this patch. I just wanted to talk to you guys about. A few things I did like was the knowledge of enemies. The daily limit got increased. You can now do it 7 times instead of 4. That's definitely a good thing, even though the caps need to be lifted. You also you get more resources now for doing your directives to to level up your pantheon, stuff like that. It's now 20 resources instead of 15. There's a new goodie box you can get when you do your directives now, which gives you more bonus items and stuff like that. They've gotten a lot more fair with the RNG system in this game, but however, I don't find that too crazy, because RNG in this game wasn't really an issue, or not to my knowledge. So I think some of those improvements were just more to get smiles on people's faces and everything like that. Like, don't get me wrong, a fair loot system is good, but I feel like they're not addressing a lot of the heavy issues at hand. A lot of in-game bugs were fixed. The menu is finally fixed. You can finally now see all the stuff in the menus, and the UI is now a bit more perfective, which is woo. Thank God. That's great. The game's a lot more stabilized. I did notice when I was fighting the world boss in the new area that it did run a little bit smoother. It's not perfect, but like I said, it's a step in the right direction. It is getting a lot better. I am grateful for that. I do think that they did a really good job optimizing the game. A lot of the bugs and animation issues and stuff like that with like Necromancer and stuff, those have been fixed, looked at. I do believe Outlaw was supposed to get a nerf as well. I don't know if the Outlaw got nerfed in this patch or not. I didn't see anything about that, but guys, if you're not aware, do be aware that an Outlaw nerf is eventually going to come to this game. And I'm not even trying to put anybody down. I'm not trying to diss anybody that uses Outlaw, but Outlaw is overpowered. Let's face it. Every free for all match you get into on PvP on Skyforge is basically a third person Call of Duty of people using Outlaws all day. Like, come on, son. Outlaw needs to get hit with a little nerf, or at least some type of better balance for it in PvP. It is a great class. I will say it's a good class in PvE. It's probably the most popular range class out there. The Necromancer issues, like I said, a majority of those have been fixed. I do think there's still one more issue with one of its moves or something like that still needs to be addressed. I'm not quite sure. Don't quote me on that. But just a lot of smaller fixes and bug issues and stuff like that they touched. I am really happy and I'm really grateful that that they hit a lot of this stuff. But I just feel like a lot of, like I was saying before, a lot of major issues need to be dealt with. We need a text chat system that needs to happen. When this text chat system comes, the game definitely needs to support a keyboard. So when you guys know, so if and when you guys do bring a text chat system, it does need to have keyboard support. The voice chat they've added like categories and stuff to it, which I think is a good thing. But then again, when it comes to MMO play, like I said, a lot of people don't care too much for voice chat. The only time people really use voice chat is during like hardcore mechanic heavy raiding and stuff like that. There are some people who like to just strictly voice chat. Like I've met a few people since I've been playing Skyforge that prefer voice chat over text chat. Like I even know a guy that says voice chat is dominant in ESO just because it was there so long, which isn't a bad thing. Voice chat's always a good method. It requires the least amount of effort. All you gotta do is talk. But not everybody wants to do that. The whole point of MMOs is to have that personal freedom. So not being forced into voice chat and stuff like that. I feel like that's a good option, and that would really help this game out a lot. One other thing they did do that I do appreciate is how the loot works now with like the accessories, the rings, gems, and jewelry and all that stuff. How some blues can outlay purple. Like whatever piece has the best numbers is the strongest piece now. I love how logical that is. Like I actually got a blue because it was 1.68 instead of my purple 1.32. The blue ended up being better because it had better stats. It just wasn't better because it was purple. That's awesome. Those kind of things that makes a lot of sense. But also with that, and I'm not sure if they put this in here or not, there should be I honestly think there should be versions of each type. If there's 2.3s, or even if let's say it's like this. Say there's a 2.6, a 2.7, and a 2.8 version of a gear piece. The 2.6 should be a green, the 2.7 should be a blue, and the 2.8 should be a purple. Or something of that nature. If people are going to get the purple gear, make sure the purple gear is worth it. Let it have like some type of stat advantage or whatsoever. One thing I didn't agree with though is one of the legendary artifacts in the game. They did nerf it a little bit. That I personally don't know why. Legendary gear is supposed to be real powerful. Kind of makes you feel like you're working for absolutely nothing. So that little debuff I don't agree with. But if it's balancing all the Generation 1 gear, and we only got a few weeks left of this invasion anyway, and Generation 2 gear is about to come out. And it's there, whatever. You're only gonna be using that piece for a few more weeks anyway. But I just personally don't see why why that got a debuff. If anything, just if the Generation 2 piece isn't up to par with what it should be, just buff the Generation 2 piece in my opinion. But I mean, I guess it would be more work to buff the Generation 2 than the Generation 3 to make them all seem like higher worthy equivalent pieces. But to my opinion, I think that was kind of pointless. But that's just my personal opinion. You guys can feel free to share your thoughts on that. But I also do have a guide showing you guys how this new quote unquote text chat system works, so you guys can check that out. I should be uploading shortly after this video. But overall, patch 1.09, it is a decent job. It is helping the game out a bit, but I just do think that a lot of things added in here were a bit on the lazy side, and honestly, the game just still has a long way to go. But my.com Alids, you guys are heading into the right direction. I do appreciate that things I've said and things other YouTubers and community members have said are making impact. I do appreciate the fact that you guys are trying, but a lot of these changes are needed. And last but not least, for Christ's sakes, can we get a damn logout button? Can we please have a logout button? A logout button. There is no logout button in this game. The two things I want to see in the next patch, please, for the sake of God, text chat and a logout button. I guarantee you if you just add those two things alone, you'll get a lot more appreciation from your fans out of this game. Give this video a thumbs up if you agree. But anyway, guys, y'all enjoyed this video and it helped you. Be sure to smash that thumbs up button for me. I want to thank you all so much for watching. It's your boy Tnek127. And please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Till next time, peace out, take care.